Hi, Nine. So here's some feedback from the Finding and Using Evidence task that I set you to do on Wednesday, but you had early access to it on Tuesday to give you a head start, just see if any questions or any concerns came up. So this is the feedback for that. Now, if you have submitted work, then you've had personal feedback sent back to you. Make sure you check the edited version, because that's got my handwriting on it. And the individual bits of detail kind of feedback that you need. And if you haven't done lesson one yet, if you're watching this video but you've not done the actual lesson that goes with it, please do it and then look at this video afterwards. Okay, so if you haven't done the first bit, the actual task that this video is about, then stop this video, go and do the task, and then come back to this video to see how well you did. Okay, the general feedback, and the kind of in a vague sense, was that the class had showed a good understanding of Queen Elizabeth's feelings regarding her husband's health and the difficulty facing her and her young children. So, in terms of the big focus for this task, you nailed it. You got the main key idea that she is how she's feeling about her husband and how she's feeling about the future for her and her family. So you kind of got that absolutely spot on. The kind of the biggest area for improvement was more quotations, um, looking at the differences between different characters, particularly between Rivers and Grey, and how Stanley acts. So we'll go into more detail now, but that's the general ballpark that we're working with now. So you completed one of these options. So in the blue box, you've got the table, um, and then in the red box, you've got the mind map, and they are the same. They are the same task. It's just that maybe your way of working prefers this kind of shape or the other kind of shape. What I would say was that where the people who did the table had an advantage because they had a clearer kind of breakdown of the three ingredients. So you had the focus on the table, so this green bit here is the same on the table. You've got the four focuses here, but the table people had an advantage of having two columns, which were quite obviously what they should do. And what happened with the table people, this area got filled in, no problem, or with few problems, nothing major. And in the mind map people, those yellow bits kind of were a little bit missing. Okay, so that was I think it's more of a format issue rather than actual down to your talent. So this is the feedback sheet for the class, okay? And first of all, big shout out to this group here. So the work you did was very good. Really liked to see what you did, and well done for getting it in. So those 7 people there will be getting ATL points for their efforts. Now, this is the more detailed stuff. Okay, so we've got the blue box for what's going well. We've got the orange box for the things that could be improved, and then we've got the purple box, which is like the mistakes that are happening, and then the yellow box is what you should try and do. Okay, and your own feedback will be different from from another person. So you need to listen carefully, look at your work, and kind of decide what it is that you're good at, what you need to improve, what mistakes you've made, and what you need to do next. So we'll start with the what went wells. Excuse me. So lots of people are good at understanding Queen Elizabeth's fear and worry regarding the death of the king and the impact on her family. So there's two emotions: worry, and fear, or that anxiety and kind of tension or stress, whatever you wanted to call it. That was pretty much nailed by everybody. So excellent. Also, it was really good. People understood that Queen Elizabeth's family are trying to help her. So Grey, Rivers are there offering support. People spotted that Buckingham is there not to help, and because we know the kind of the story that he's involved with, his his behaviour is pretending to be nice. Richard concerns Queen Elizabeth. She's worried about his power if the king dies. You were good at selecting good quotations, so when quotations were used, they were very often a really good choice. And pretty much everybody completed the 4 focus areas of the mind map on the table. So there was like a sense of completion to your work, showing that you really tried hard. So that was excellent. Okay, so that's the what went wells. In the EBIs, make sure that all areas have quotations. So you might have put something down about the family, how other people talk to her, how other people act, how she acts or how she speaks, and not include a quotation or evidence from the text. So make sure you do that. Um, there's a distinct difference between the way others speak to Queen Elizabeth and especially how Stanley speaks to Queen Elizabeth. So that the other characters, imagine she's on stage and there's these other characters going around her. And the way those other characters speak to her, it have subtle differences. And we'll come to that in a moment. And another thing that will make everybody's work better is if you haven't done this, that is use the stage directions. Don't just go for the things that people say, the kind of speeches as your source of evidence. Look at the stage directions as well. Sometimes they can just be like enter Buckingham and Stanley, but other times there might be a little bit. You could do more than that maybe with them, especially the first one. So into the purple box. These are the kind of mistakes that were happening. So a couple of people were putting quotes in that were too long. Now it's how long is a quote? Is it what's a short one? What's a long one? The key is if you put a quote in that's kind of 2 or 3 lines long, then the chances are your explanation of that quote is going to be incomplete because there's probably going to be more in that quote than you can write about or that you choose to write about. So you've got extra quotes that's just kind of hanging there, being ignored, and that makes your analysis and explanation seem a little bit fluffy and a bit rough around the edges. So what you should do is keep them short. So only take as much evidence as you need to write about, and that makes your selection of quotations really precise. The other thing is if you take one big quote and instead of taking one, just chop it into two, so have 2 small quotes from a big one, so halve it. That doubles your quotes that you've used and shows more precision. So if you do want to use a long quote, then chop it into 2 pieces and deal with it as 2 separate sections. Bear in mind as well, the second thing on this purple section is not everyone in the scene is helping Queen Elizabeth in the same way, and there are subtle differences. So that's the key, really. How do her brothers speak to her? Do the brothers have the same style, the same approach to Queen Elizabeth? And look at how Stanley and Buckingham speak to her. Okay, they're all there to kind of support her, but they do it in different ways. Third one in the purple box. The way her family speak and act towards her is different to the other characters. Now, this is a really, really important one. Okay? The way that her 2 brothers speak to her and act towards her is very different. So, really look at that and think, well, what's different? What's happening in the way that Grey speaks to her, for example, or Rivers speaks to her? And, she's the queen, but do they talk to her in as if she is the queen, or do they still talk to her in a way that the brothers would talk to sisters? Okay, and it's that's a nice little subtle detail that you could put in. And a final point is only take quotations from the original Shakespeare version of the script. I did make the modern translation available, but don't quote that one. That's been written by a website which I have then changed it to make it more accurate or more user friendly. Only take quotes from the left-hand side of the document where the original Shakespeare language is. So what are you going to do next into the action section? Well, check your work, and in the areas where you've not got any quotations, it's a simple job of putting the right quotations in. So go back and check and find some quotes. If you haven't focused on the way Stanley speaks and acts in the scene, then that is definitely worth going over because the way he and Buckingham speak to her suggests something about Elizabeth. And then focus on the first stage direction. If you've not written about the first stage direction, it's an easy one to find, and what it suggests or reveals about Queen Elizabeth. So basically, she comes on stage surrounded by a family, close family. Okay, what's that suggest about or reveal about her? So that's the action, the misconceptions. Here they are in kind of bigger boxes, so it's easy to see. If you want to pause your video here, I'll have a little sip of coffee. and then you can crack on with improving your work from yesterday or Tuesday if you do on Tuesday. Okay, right. I'll leave you there for a minute. So now you've unpaused the video and you've checked your work and improved it with the feedback I've given you. The final step is to now compare your work to my completed sheets. So I've got 2 sheets available to you. They're in the Google Classroom assignment for today. Open the one that applies to the table or the mind map and just have a look. Now you can look at both if you want to. That might be interesting to see what you could, and basically you're looking to see what you could add, some extra details, some extra ideas that you could add to really kind of maximize the quality of your work. Okay, and this is important because tomorrow you're going to be turning your table or your mind map into a piece of like a written task, into a mini essay. So the better quality of the ideas and the quotes that are on your planning sheets today, the table and the mind map, the better your work will be tomorrow. Okay, and tomorrow's work is really important. So um, have a look at what I've done, have a look at what you've done, and then you can steal stuff from mine and put it onto yours as much as you want. Okay, and I hope actually, really, what I really hope is that what you see on my work is actually hopefully close to what you've done in your work, and that should give you that feeling that you know exactly what you're doing with this task, and that you're doing really well with it. Okay, folks. So I shall see you tomorrow. Have a lovely day, and make sure you get your work done. All right. Take care. See you in a bit.